Hi everyone, I'm Will Brown and welcome to the WPQuickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. And in this lunchtime quickies, I'm going to be looking at how to replace existing WordPress sites with a newly designed and developed one, or at least look at some options for doing that. So thanks for joining me today. Drop your name, where you're from in the comments below, and I'll say hi. And while you're doing that, whatever channel you're on, press subscribe, bells, likes, LinkedIn's, connects, all that sort of stuff. Press all those things and that'll be good. Let's see who we've got in here. We've got Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan from the Central Coast. We've got Morris from a sunny Sydney. It's lovely and sunny today, 30 degrees. Really, really good. Norman. And we've got Jean as well. Mr. Meowpuss. I've got on top of IT services. It says sunny Sydney, the last lockdown Thursday. Fingers crossed, I hope it will be. So we've got a new group, a new Facebook group. We're ditching the page and going with our Facebook group. You can find that on Facebook. Just search for WordPress Sydney Meetup and you'll be able to see that. If you are watching this from the group, click on streamyard.com/Facebook and that just connects your Facebook group profile. Just so when you do add some comments, it comes up with your name and your profile picture as well. So you can do that. I always get asked about links, so all the links from all of my talks, what I do is I'll post them on the Meetup page. I also post them as comments down below whatever social media platform you're looking at. So I'll do that maybe about half an hour after the stream has ended. So you have all those links. Got Andrew from Dulwich. Welcome on board, Andrew. Thanks for taking your time. If you got any questions as well, internet's slow today. If you got any questions, then just drop them into the comments and I'll get around to them as soon as I can. We had an internet outage yesterday, so fingers crossed it'll be okay today, but it is a bit sluggish today. Oh, from Dulwich Hill, yep. We used to live in Dulwich Hill when we first came to Sydney. We lived in Dulwich Hill. It's a lovely place just next to the Oval. Nice little cafes as well. I remember getting a nice bacon and sausage sandwich with chili oil. Yum, yum. Good times. Okay, let's get on with it for today. So replacing existing WordPress websites. So you spent some time redesigning your client's website, either on your local computer or a staging site that the client can access. And you've met all the milestones, the project brief, and the client has approved the site for production release. So then the question pops into your head. How do you replace the existing WordPress website with the newly redesigned one? So it's a question I get asked frequently. It's a question that I get asked a lot in comments and forums and groups and things like that. So hopefully you've asked this question long before you actually get to the end of the project, but the result is the same. So let's have a look at some options and dig into some of the details. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is determine what type of website the client has, and that's going to tell you what approach you're going to take to replace it. Now, is a live website a brochureware site? Is it an active company website? Is it an e-commerce site, for example? So let's take a look at these three examples. Excuse me. So a brochureware site. So we've all seen these types of sites, and maybe we've created a few and maintained a few of those as well. And so these sites, they're comprised mainly of pages. You get the usual pages like home, about, services, contact, privacy, terms and conditions, things like that. Now, some of these sites, they may have a small splattering of blog posts that are maybe infrequently posted, and even fewer comments as well. So this type of website is easily replaced in its entirety by a new copy. All you really need to do is ensure that you're preserving the SEO rankings for that. And you can get tools that'll export the information out of an existing WordPress website, comments and all, and then just re-import it in, and it just creates all the mappings for that as well. So these types of sites, brochure sites or static sites as well, comes under this category. They're very easy to replace. It's just a single, just overwrite the existing website from there, just making sure you got all the content first and making sure that all your SEO rankings are in place. So that's a fairly easy one to do. So an active company website. Now, company websites with high traffic, maybe they've got landing and sales pages that make money, and maybe they're frequently updated as well. So lots of blog content, maybe lots of content is updating. These ones are kind of difficult to replace as the data accumulates in a live website over the development project. Now, your client may be willing to stop editorial updates, maybe for a few weeks while you implement the new design, but it's doubtful they will agree to anything longer than a couple of weeks, because this is their website, this is their traffic, this is their brand, and this is maybe their landing pages that link to their sales pages to make them money as well. So the accumulation of data on the live website is a big problem and needs to have a well-defined strategy to be in place to deal with that. And this is probably going to be the majority of the cases, I think, when you're dealing with an existing website that's there. The brochureware website, that's kind of fairly uncommon now. Mostly people will keep an active website because you need to be editing things and adding content to be able to get your SEO rankings and your boostings up there. So having an active website is probably going to be fairly common when you come across developing a new one. And lastly, in this kind of bundle, this assessment, is an e-commerce website. So any site that sells stuff within the WordPress website itself, whether it's a shop plugin like WooCommerce or a membership site plugin or a learning management system like LearnDash, it's going to share the same live data accumulation issue as mentioned for a previous one. Now, the client is even less likely to suspend trading during your project development time due to a direct loss of business and revenue. So whereby in the active company website, they might be willing to stop posting, stop doing updates for a couple of weeks. If you've got an e-commerce site, that's highly unlikely to happen at all, because this is their money. This is where they get all their money from, their sales and revenue. So they're unlikely to put a halt to any transactions or anything on this e-commerce website. And that means that your live data is going to accumulate during the project development. So we need to deal with that. Excuse me. Okay, so here are my 3 options for replacing an existing WordPress website with the new design that you've got sitting on your local development server or you've got sitting on a staging server. So the option 1 is to work on the live website. Now, I know some designers and developers actually do take this approach, and I remember chatting to a developer at WordCamp a few years back who told me that they hacked away at live websites and would race to clean up a problem before the client even noticed it. So they did all their development in the wee hours of the morning, and if anything went down, they'd just race to try and restore from a backup or fix it before anyone really noticed any issues. Now, for me, making sweeping design changes on a live website during a redesign project is a huge red flag, and I would never ever recommend this approach to take, because you're really letting yourselves in for too many things that can go wrong. Here are just a few. So white screen of death, customer user experience or user interface issues as well if you're changing things around. Logins and registrations not working, backups backing up a broken site, and that's going to compromise your restoration process. Increase in customer support tickets, because if you're middling about with a live website, things are going to change, things are going to break. Customers are going to raise an issue, going to send an email or support ticket. And the ultimate failure of this could be that your customer sues you for loss of revenue if it's an e-commerce website and you're hacking it to bits and nobody can buy things from it. So option 1, work on a live website, not a great idea at all. Probably put that one on the back burner, I think. Okay, option 2. So there's 2 parts to this one. So this is option 2, merging a new website into the live production site. So first we have to define what we mean by merge. And I get a lot of these types of comments on the Facebook groups and all the forums. How do you merge your new design into an existing design? Now, you can't merge data from 2 copies of WordPress database. The new content you've added, and when redesigning the website, it's likely to have other post IDs and unique keys different to the live database. And even if you did take a copy of the production database and then you're working on it, all those data, all those IDs, all the new stuff that you're adding is going to have different IDs than if you were to then remerge it back into the live website. So when we talk about merge, we get this visual component of squashing 2 things together. But from a WordPress point of view, that doesn't work like that. So you can't really merge 2 databases together. People have tried and given up for that. So in this context, what we're talking about when we talk about merge is we're taking a copy of the new data in the live site has accumulated during the redesign process and inserting into the new website copy that we have on local or the staging server. So that's what we mean by merge. We're taking the data that's accumulated in the live system. We're putting it into our newly developed website, and then getting that ready to replace the current one on the live website. Now, you can ask the client to refrain from adding new content during the project build phase for static websites, but your e-commerce ones get a little bit more difficult for that one. So stopping customers from placing orders obviously, cuts the client's profits and damages brand image and things like that. And customers may not come back if they've gone somewhere else. So we need to deal with this problem with this additional data in there. So there's option 2B. So that was 2A. We're talking about the merge. This is option 2B. So in this situation, the live website continues to accumulate data in the database. And once a new website has been created and approved for production release, we add the new design components in a single update to the existing site. So we're talking about adding new design elements here for that. So in this one, this is usually done when the website has low traffic or the website owner has allocated a time slot, notified users, and put the website into a lockdown and maintenance mode. So it's going to be really important to do if you've got a really busy website or an e-commerce website. It needs to be locked down at some point. And you need to have that conversation with the client early on during the project so they don't get surprised when that happens, because we can't merge the two databases together. We need to put a stop on the current website, copy over our new database, our new website over for that, and then release that to the public. Now, there are plenty of plugins that help you put a website into maintenance mode, and they prevent logins, they prevent updates and transactions from being processed. I'm not going to cover them today. You can look at those yourself. But while moving the physical theme and plugin files is easy, their configurations and content may not be. So again, what we're talking about here is we've got an existing website, okay, and then we're stopping people getting access to it, and then we're not replacing, we're adding the design components on. So that might be a new theme, so updating a new theme, and that might be some new plugins as well. We're adding some new plugins to the website, and then we're going into the live website and we're configuring those to match the same as our staging and development environment. Now, some themes and plugins, they may allow import and export of settings, but most don't. So you're kind of in a bit of a rocky ground here. The designer and developer, and they'll have to rely on good documentation process that's been taken throughout the development process as well, and applying them to the live website, in order to make sure that the two are looking the same. So configuring new design elements on a live website to match your staging site is really quite difficult to do, as even the slightest minor misconfiguration of data is going to mess things up and could put the whole website off. So this strategy isn't the option I prefer, but sometimes you've got your hands tied behind your back and that decision is taken for you, because after all, it's the client's website and business. So that's the second option there, is to kind of take the existing website, shut it down, proactively add stuff onto it, and then configure it to make it look as if, the staging site that you've been showing to the customer. I know some people do this. You know what, sometimes it's easy to do if it's just a few theme updates. But, the more stuff you add, the more plugins, the more configuration, especially if you're doing things, in a page builder or whatever, that's going to be really difficult to duplicate and redo on the live website. But it is an option, and some people do it. So here's my third option. Option 3, this is replacing the existing website and using an export and import of the live data that's been changed on the live website. So in this situation, the live data can be product changes, it can be new orders, customer registrations, just things like that, even new blog posts. So the strategy here is to identify the data types in the database that's going to change during the build phase and store them down. So document data IDs at the point where you create a snapshot for the production website into your development or your staging website. So we're essentially saying on this day, I am taking a copy of the live website and I'm looking at all the data. I know all the data that's going to change. So I know the orders are going to change. I know that there's going to be new transactions. I know there's going to be new user registrations. We look at what's there already in the database tables, and we take a note of what ID it is and the date for those in the table as well. Now, I keep all this database snapshot information in a Google Sheet, and just with a table name, row number, dates and columns, and with some IDs as well, just so I can match those and go back in afterwards and know exactly which data has changed from that. So at some point, again, same with the previous, at some point the client's going to have to close the website down and perform this migration from the new website. But hopefully this shutdown window is going to be as short as possible, and you must be able to do this. Usually it's at a time of low traffic, if not directly before. Don't do it obviously in seasonal changes, or if you know the customer's going to have a traffic spike, you want to try and shut down the website as quickly as you can during the lowest traffic that they have. Because if something goes wrong, and it will. So make sure you got some time there to spend to fix things just in case. Okay, so we've got our new website ready to go, but they've got production data, they've got new data in production. So what do? We go back to our Google Sheet, we go back to our spreadsheet, and we go through all the tables, we note where we took the snapshot from, and we identify the data that's been added since then. So the new products, the new transactions, the new customer registrations, the new blog posts, things like that. And what we need to do is we need to extract that live data, since you took that snapshot from the live website. We need to import that into your new staging site, and then we copy the staging site to live, overwriting the existing website. So this process needs to be very well documented, and it needs to be accomplished on a staging server reliably with approval from the client. So what I tend to do is, and maybe a week before I do a production release like this, I will copy the information from the live data using this process, copy it into the staging site, and to show the customer. Okay, and that allows me to go through these processes. So I know I can get the data, I know I can import it. I show the customer, look, I can reproduce this. Here's the live data at the moment. This is something that we can do. So that's a process you need to do. Extract the data, import it into the existing website, make sure that everything's okay, show that to the customer, get them the okay for the production release, and then do that particular process as well. So as with the previous strategy, this is not an easy walk in the park thing to do, but it's certainly doable, and this is my preferred option. So rather than tinker with an existing website, I'll just find all the data that's been updated, extract all that out, pump that into my staging server that the client has already looked at and approved, get the big tick, and then move that whole thing across. And then this needs to be done really, really super quickly. You're talking like less than half an hour for that, definitely less than half an hour. So this is my preferred option, is replace the existing website with your new staging website that's got the new data from the live website built into it, and just replace the whole thing. So how do you move WordPress to another server? Now, I have covered this in previous quickies and WordPress Sydney meetups, so you can have a look at that. Basically, I'm just going to run through the method that I use, and there's plugins that can do this for you, but this is what I use for this. So what I do is, for the files, so for the theme files, all the design files, the plugin files, I'll zip them up on the staging server, and then I use a secure copy to copy them over to the live website hosting account, then log into that hosting account using SSH, that's a secure shell, the command line, and unzip them there, overwriting all the stuff there. Now, if your old website has, there's a few steps I might take before then. If your current website has lots of stuff, and I've done a big redesign, like remove plugins, then you might want to do like a fresh install. So that's, for example, you might want to just move WordPress folders out into .old, and then download WordPress fresh, and then you can do your unzip on there, and that'll replace just the plugin files and the theme files into a nice fresh copy for this. So if this is not available, so if Secure Shell isn't available, which is 90% of hosting accounts, but if it's not available, then I'll use something like File Manager in cPanel or Plesk or the equivalent, and upload the zip files to a new design. And again, I might move the WP content folder out, and then just unzip all the new files in there, and that'll be just a complete replacement for those. But that's the method I use, is a secure copy, so it makes sure that everything's done securely rather than just open plain FTP. I use WP All Import, and they've got the WP All Export as well, the Pro plugin, for 99% of all my live migrations. Now, there's a link there, it's wpallimport.com. You can buy the Pro version, and it comes along with, there's a package you can get, and it comes with the WooCommerce and other add-ins as well. making this process really, really, really simple. So I purchased that. I got a lifetime deal, which is quite great. But even if you don't have a lifetime deal, just the time it saves you buying the WP All Import and the WooCommerce plugin is absolutely fantastic. So I definitely recommend that. Otherwise, still using WP All Import, you can actually write your own import and export queries within the plugin. It's not a drag and drop interface, but it's a fairly easy interface to do. So you can choose all the fields and the different type of WordPress query and build up the queries that you want the data to be exported from for those. And the great thing about this is you can actually save them as well. So if you've built your stuff in WP All Import, then you can save those queries and just run those queries again during this migration phase as well. So WP Import, big thumbs up for that one. I also use WP CLI, and so there's a link there. Now this is an SSH or a command line version of WordPress that allows me to replace the URL of the staging site with the one in the live site in a single command. And that's the example of the command there, just below the logo in the middle. So WP and then search-replace, and then quotes the old URL and then quotes the new URL. Click on return, and it basically does it in seconds. It goes through the entire database and replaces all that stuff. Now, if I don't have access to do that, then I can always use another plugin. There's a plugin called WP Migrate DB. And what I do is I'd install that on the staging site. I then run that, and it asks you for the new live website URL. And then during the export process, it changes that URL to the new URL and then gives you the SQL that you can then copy into the database for that. But I prefer using WP CLI, and it's got WordPress, it's got database import and export features as well. So I love doing it that way. But you can use WP Migrate DB, produce an SQL file, and then you can use File Manager in, not File Manager, you can use Plesk and cPanel and PHP My Admin to just import that and just overwrite everything in the database. So that is my take on replacing existing WordPress websites. So replacing a busy e-commerce website with a newly redesigned version is really tricky. There's no real single approach to this. It's all about minimizing the risk to you as a designer or developer and minimizing the risk to the client for loss of business and earnings. And just having the confidence in identifying, exporting and importing new data as well. So that's my steps. I know other people might do it a little bit differently, but I'll be keen to hear your thoughts on what you guys do. Or if you think, you got a different way, I'd be interested in that as well. But that's how I do it. That's how I replace existing WordPress websites. I create a copy note at that point. Then when it's time to move that back over to production, I then lift up all the database that's accumulated in the live database, put it in the staging website, and then replace the whole thing over, replacing the live website. And those are some of the tools that I use to do it. So happy to take questions, guys. I know that was kind of a more kind of technical, bit of a wordy one for that. But hopefully that's helped you guys a little bit in thoughts on how to replace stuff. If you're not getting any questions, that's okay. I'll have a look at the iPad here, see if anything's coming in. If you do, drop it in the comments. If not, I'll just run through some of these slides as well in the meantime. And you got any suggestions, then please fill them out. So the link is, I'll actually drop it down here in the comments, and the link's underneath the video as well, or you can scan that or when you're watching the video all the way back. So give me some topics that I can add in over the next few weeks. I had to shout out as well to wpaustralia.org. So if you happen to find out which meetups are in Australia, there's a big button there, find meetup, and it'll tell you all those. And there's also a button to help you join the WP Australia Slack community, which is kind of where we all hang out and ask questions and just kind of get to know each other. So if you haven't joined the Slack community already, I really urge that you do that. Just get to know some people, ask some questions and answer some questions as well. I'll leave that for you guys to read in your own time, and happy to connect with you guys at any time. So I'm mostly on LinkedIn these days under Developer Will. On Instagram as well, a little bit, willbrown_au, and on Twitter as well. So connect with me if you haven't done already. That'd be great. Let me know if you're connecting on LinkedIn. Just leave a little note. Let me know where you're connecting from. Okay, so we have a monthly evening meetup. So the monthly Sydney meetup is October. No, it's not that one. Let's see, when is it? Is it October the 25th? There we go. October the 25th. which is a Tuesday, I believe. We've actually moved it from the Monday, so it's going to be a Tuesday at 6 p.m. And I'm going to be talking about WordPress security. So my kind of comprehensive WordPress security talk. Be doing that one in the evening, WordPress meetup. But next week on WP Quickies, I'm going to be talking about privacy policies. So we're going to be talking about the actual built-in WordPress privacy policy. Can you use it? What's in there? Things like that. So bring along your questions for that. And I'll try and answer them as best as I can. If not, stay safe, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for joining, and take care. Ciao.